All right, Brian, pretty excited today. We're back with the death lineup. So excited. I'm wearing my Hamptons 5 shirt. Shout out to Warriors World. And also, we have stuff to actually talk about. We skipped out last week because I don't know how I was going to be able to talk 45 minutes of the Warriors not signing that candy-eating farter, Dwight Howard. We'll talk about him a little bit, but there's news. There's lots of stuff going on. And the first thing is something that I think you've probably been waiting for a little bit. All-Star Weekend 2025. The rumor is that the Warriors are going to get the All-Star Weekend. So I'll read from the Athletic Shams and the Athletic staff reporting. The NBA is nearing plans to host the 2025 All-Star Weekend at the Golden State Warriors Chase Center. League sources confirmed Thursday. This upcoming season's All-Star Weekend will be in Indianapolis. The NBA last hosted All-Star Weekend in the Bay Area in the year 2000, the year that you were 1 year old. Actually, by the time this All-Star game happened, you were not yet 1 year old. When the Warriors were still based in Oakland, this will be the first All-Star game held at Chase Center, which opened in 2019.
That's big time. When's the last time a All-Star game for the Bay Area in all three sports? Like, is it the Giants? Was it 04 for the Giants? I know I have a patch somewhere that says that, and I forgot what year it was. But
all I know is I think Ichiro hit like an inside the park home run against Lincecum. I think that was the year.
Oh, so Lincecum, we're talking like and that was at AT&T or at the time AT&T.
Yeah, it was probably like
08
07
07.
Yeah. I don't know.
07 sounds right. But yeah, I mean, then what was it? Levi Stadium got to host the Super Bowl. Was it Panthers Broncos?
And they're gonna get it soon again, I think, as well.
How does the system work? Like, I would think it's just like, rotating between 30 teams, but I guess maybe a city puts a bid in because a big city has more money and it boosts their economy. And I don't even know how the logistics work for that, but I'm excited.
Yeah. I think it's all bid based, and we can promise you that we'll bring X amount and this amount of people, and and it's also, I think, one of the things when it comes to building new stadiums and new arenas. I think one of the perks is like, hey, you'll also get one of these special events. And so I'm sure when Joe Lacob said, okay, I'm building this thing, they're like, okay, you build it and you'll get one of the upcoming All-Star weekends. I'm sure that was part of the ball game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I guess the thing is, for people who want to go now, there's from what I understand, as far as televised events, there's the Friday night where they do the celeb game, and then there's the rookie sophomore game, which now it's do they split them up internationally, or is it still rookies and sophomores?
No, they do a 4-team draft.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's like the Friday night stuff. And then the Saturday night stuff is the slam dunk contest, the 3-point shootout, skills competition stuff, hopefully some stuff with the WNBA women. And then Sunday is the actual All-Star game. Now, you know how hard it is to get a playoff ticket to the Warriors. We sat in front of Chase to watch Kings Warriors, and we're just kind of like, if this ticket gets under $100, then maybe we'll go in the stadium, in the arena. Nope, we'll just watch it from the big screen. But yeah, like it seems like it would be a pretty hard ticket, and I wonder. I'm sure there will be some ticket plans where they're like, hey, if you buy a 10-pack of season tickets or something like that, you'll have an opportunity to buy All-Star game tickets. That would be really interesting. And that would actually probably get me to fork out some money for a ticket plan of some sort. But yeah, how do we get tickets to this thing? Because I want to go. I more so want to go to Saturday than Sunday, but both days would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd rather just go to Saturday, depending on the price. But I mean, I have no clue how you get tickets. Maybe I'm assuming they wouldn't even start announcing that stuff until next season, right? Because they're bidding for like the 2025 All-Star game, which would be 2025 February, which isn't until next season.
I mean, like, tickets are ridiculous right now. I looked for the Jordan Poole game in San Francisco for the end of this year. It's like $300 a ticket, like
Yeah, screw that.
anywhere. It's crazy right now for this team.
They
So
weren't even that good last year.
CP ticket seller, man.
No way, man.
So yeah, so this very early in the ball game, but that is the latest news that just came out earlier today. And other news. Now, just that this is Warriors tangentially related, not exactly Warriors news, but earlier this week from Marcus Thompson, the Golden State Warriors are close to bringing a WNBA franchise to the Bay Area, according to multiple sources with knowledge of the deal. The deal is not completed. Sources stress that several details still need to be worked out, but if finalized, the franchise will play its games at Chase Center and be headquartered in Oakland at the team's practice facility, which the organization still owns and uses to maintain a presence in the community. An announcement could come as soon as early October, so within the next week, maybe. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Joe Lacob, he was an owner of the old American Basketball League, which had a team in San Jose in 1996, the San Jose Lasers. And I was at school. They practiced and played on San Jose State. Their top star was a point guard for Stanford in the late 80s. Her name was Jennifer Azzi. I think she still does some TV stuff with CNBC, maybe. I mean, NBC Sports Bay Area. And so I had a dream one night that I was doing some play-by-play for the San Jose Lasers, and I had to call a last-minute shot for Jennifer Azzi to win the game. And then I was at school the next day, walking the campus, and who walks right by me? None other than a sweaty after-practice Jennifer Azzi. So I froze too. I should have said hi. I should have said something, and I literally just froze because I was like, "Wait, this is deja vu." Oh no, that was a dream. What am I talking about?
When did I didn't even I think I've heard of that before. Of the was it the ABL,
Mhm.
American Basketball League?
So
Yeah.
the ABL, I think, was maybe 1 year before the WNBA,
Okay.
and then they only had a couple years, I think, from what I remember.
Didn't the WNBA get some of the ABL teams, or was it just brand new?
I think they just took the best players.
Oh, okay.
I think, but yeah, that you're talking about the late 90s time frame.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
so what do you think? A WNBA team out this way? It's kind of weird that they're going to practice in Oakland and then play in San Francisco,
I
or at
don't know.
least
Yeah.
the organization will be based in Oakland. That's kind of weird.
It's silly. Yeah, I think it should just be everything in SF, especially if it's just Joe Lacob, the owner. He's not sharing it with any of like the Oakland groups that were rumored to be getting one. It should just be straight in San Francisco. But yeah, no, I've been looking forward to this since I moved here. Really, I thought that that's why I have the WNBA season pass or league pass this year. I've been really trying to get into the league because I was 80% sure we were getting a team. So I just wanted to know who the players were, who was good, the history and stuff before we got a team, and we're getting a team. I just think it'd be. I was telling someone, like, you know, the WNBA gets its people like to make fun of it, and those people are just insecure, but I think that
they're like 20 years in the past. They're like Neanderthals at this point.
Yeah. So someone was asking me why I'm watching it, and I kind of told them that not only to support the league, but with the Giants, Niners, and Warriors who came to the Bay in like the 50s, like I was essentially like grandfathered in as a fan of those teams, and I think it would be cool to be like the first generation of fan, you know, and my future children, grandchildren, and stuff becomes a fan of, like, I think that would be a cool experience to be like on the ground floor with that team. Go to the first game, get you know, courtside. If courtside seats are under $400 for the first game, like I would genuinely, I don't know what Lacob's going to charge, but I would genuinely think about it for just the very first game. Just to have
season tickets might be a little affordable. I remember when I went to the Mercury game, when I took your aunt and Malia, my niece, and then your grandpa went with us. The tickets were like, I don't know, like $35 a piece. So they weren't bad, and you know, it's not like they were super up close, but I thought they were good value, and you know, in correspondence with what the Warriors charge, like if you have an affordable team playing at Chase,
like 70.
and you get fans in there and you can sit a little closer than you would at a Warriors game, I would totally go. I mean, the second merch comes out, I'm ordering a hat, I'm ordering a shirt, all that stuff. And then, like you said, you're kind of at the beginning of it. So, the WNBA draft, whoever their first pick is,
get the jersey,
and we bring them on this podcast.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Stuff like this. So
exactly.
Yeah, it may be the death lineup plus my name for the team is the Bay Area Breakers.
That's good. See, I think it's kind of corny when, the team's already there, but I feel like in the year of 2023, like, you have the Minnesota Timberwolves and you have the Minnesota Lynx. I feel like some people think that that's cool. Oh, there's a connection between the NBA and the WNBA team in the same city. I'm kind of against it because I like the uniqueness of the WNBA teams. There's the Mystics and the Wizards, like, oh, kind of cool, but I'd rather the WNBA team be like make their own mark, nothing related to the Warriors besides owner and arena. So, out of some WNBA teams, I pitched the San Francisco Fog, and that just doesn't sound like a sports team. But if you think about, some of the WNBA teams, there's the Connecticut Sun, there's the Chicago Sky. So they do have kind of team names like that don't end in the letter S, which is nice.
What about the Bay Area Breeze?
It's a good one too.
Always breezy in San Francisco. And I just looked, the Bay Area Breakers.
What? It's a football club, isn't it?
Pickleball.
I was like, that sounded familiar. I don't think I know the pickleball team, but I've heard that before. Maybe a little league or something. But someone pitched the San Francisco Seals before So I think that would be.
The Bay Area Breeze is a professional American women's soccer team founded in 2011. Are they still around? No, it doesn't look like they're around anymore. So I think they are.
We're in the clear.
That name might be up for grab. By the way, the other the Oakland Roots, they just put out like a co-founding like ownership group where you could fans could put a few bucks in. So I am a co-owner of the Oakland Roots.
Now you got to learn what an offsides is.
I know the rules.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that.
To an extent, I know
you just know the rules through Ted Lasso.
I tried to watch not this past World Cup. I watched a little bit of the Women's World Cup, but it was mostly kind of on in the background. But when we started, before we even became Nextdoor, the company, my company was called Fanbase, and so we were like doing like historical archive sports stuff. And so I watched, the most I ever watched of soccer was during that year that we were Fanbase, because the World Cup was happening at that point. And so we had it on in the office and stuff. So I tried very hard to learn it, but I'm not in any way a soccer fanatic. So, but I'm interested, man. It's to me, it's more about supporting the teams, right, than it is supporting the sport necessarily. Like you said, that's getting in on the ground floor, and all that. So the thing that's interesting about this Oakland group is, so they have the Roots, and then it's the Roots and Soul, and I'm having a hard time figuring out like what the difference is between the two teams. Are they
both soccer?
Yeah, it's like I think one is maybe a men's team and one is a women's team or something. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So maybe, I think, actually, now that I think of it, I think it's the Soul that I partnered in with, not the Roots. I think the Roots were already existing and the Soul is the brand new team, but they're under the same umbrella of the Roots and Soul Sports Club community. Yeah, so
that's cool. Yeah. I want to throw in one thing into just to toss it into the air. We'll see if it ever happens. But the Warriors, or whatever their team name ends up being, Lakeup gets the WNBA team. You have to do the expansion draft. I don't know if it's the same as it is for the NBA, where you have to like protect 7 players or whatever it is, or 5 players. But maybe there's a chance that the San Francisco, their first pick, this is like projecting years in advance, but Haley Jones. I don't know if you know who Haley Jones is, but she grew up. She's around probably around JJ's age, so she's probably like 20 or 21 or 22.
Your brother is 22, by the way.
Yeah. She grew up in the Santa Cruz area and was in like the AAU circuit over in the Santa Cruz area. Because JD, I think, ran into like, I don't think JD, my cousin, ever played her, but I know that probably maybe at similar tournaments. So JD's the one who told me about her. And then so she grew up in the Santa Cruz area, played AAU ball in Santa Cruz, then went to Stanford.
Okay.
And then that's when they played my school, the U of A, like during like my third year for the championship, and Stanford beat them. And then so I've been following Haley since. She got drafted to Atlanta this past year. But with the women's basketball stuff, it's like it's very interesting on how like she was like the 5th pick in the draft, and it wouldn't be a shocker to anyone.
She doesn't play that much.
That she doesn't play that much, or that she's not on the team next year. It's just women. The WNBA has 12 teams, I think it is, with like 15 roster spots. So it's just like it's very hard to stick. And the
incoming class of first round draft picks kind of pushes that. You got to push someone out in order for these players.
And sometimes just players don't get pushed out. It's like it's sometimes in the WNBA, what I've noticed is that some of the greats are able to play like very late into their career. Like how old was Sue Bird before she retired? Diana Taurasi, like those players, some of these players are still at the peak of their game. Whereas in the NBA, it's like we get the young, fresh legs, the new phenoms, and it's it takes a lot
Haslam.
Yeah, okay, the UD. But I would. It's interesting how the WNBA, like you see some top recruit just not make the roster the next season.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I can't wait to hear more news. I hope there's more information about team name, about when they're starting, and like you said, how the draft might work and all that. But we do have some Warriors news. One, Rudy Gay, who was often rumored to join the Warriors in the last several years. The Warriors agreed to a 1-year contract with Rudy Gay, according to reporting by Adrian Wojnarowski. Gay will compete for an open roster spot. So he is not signed with a permanent spot on the roster. He's kind of got to go into an open competition with several other players. And he is in I think this is going to be his 18th year, maybe?
Really?
18th year in the league, which is kind of crazy because I remember his entire career. So kind of crazy that he's been in 18. So he's competing for a roster spot with who else is competing for these?
Have we heard any of the other training camp spots? Like who's that center from Santa Cruz? We talked about him on like the last pod, I think.
I'm gonna see if they have this anywhere.
Yeah, because we haven't heard JTA or Bazemore signed a training camp deal. Oh, Rodney McGruder. They also signed.
Yeah, Rodney McGruder. Camp. Usman Garuba.
He's two-way. I don't think he's fighting for a.
I mean, he could get it though, right? Like he could be the guy, and then they free up a two-way for somebody else, and they add him to the team because they have spots 14 and 15, right? They're basically competing for one spot, and then they're going to keep that 15th spot open.
So I mean, technically, with the Rudy Gay signing, I'm pretty sure that's spot 14. I'm assuming it's just a partially guaranteed deal, though, so they could just cut him at training camp and just open up that 13th spot again. But I think technically he's number 14, right? They made it sound like that in the signing.
Only thing I saw was that he's got to compete for the spot, that nothing has been given to him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just like a partially guaranteed, but like in the technicalities, he technically is a roster spot, but it could be easily to cut.
I mean, if he has any wheels left, and I don't know what his, I'll look up sort of his injury history and such, but his size and his ability to kind of move a little bit, it seems like it would be helpful because they opted against signing a big man. Dwight Howard was heavily rumored. And he, so he is 6'10", so he is long. He is someone who could kind of stick his butt in the post and get a mid-range a la Sean Livingston. But last year did not bode well for his numbers. When he did play 56 games and he did play 15 minutes a game, but he shot 38%. And he shot 25% from 3. And historically, he was around a 35% from three shooter. So last year was not great for him, but he's still a really good free throw shooter. He is at 80% for his entire career. So, some of that could simply be, whatever it was at Utah, and maybe, he stretches him out a little bit like our former guy, the hero.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Now, see, I have pushback against even that comparison because I see, there's another conversation. I don't know if we're going to get into it, but in Warriors land right now, it's okay. The Dame Lillard trade happened. Drew Holiday went to Portland, and Warriors Twitter is entertaining the idea of now flipping Chris Paul, who we just got in the Jordan Poole trade, pairing him with either Kuminga or Moody, and trading him for Drew Holiday, expecting that, Portland is going to go through with that. But my pushback to it is that, okay, I find it very important to have rotation players that you can trust to play in a rotation. Sure, Kuminga hasn't proved himself to be a playoff rotation player yet, but I think this was the year that he was going to do it. On top of that, you look at our roster with how many veterans we have, how many guys that you can't even pencil in as 65 plus games played for the year type of players. There's probably like 7 of them who you can't say for a fact that I think they're going to play more than 65 games on the regular season. So you need the Kuminga and the Moody, the young players to just be available and be a body for a night. And so my pushback to trading Kuminga and Chris Paul for Drew Holiday is that, okay, who's the JK replacement? Yeah, Drew Holiday is the CP replacement. Drew Holiday fits the team better. But if you're telling me Rudy Gay is going to slot into the Kuminga minutes, I just don't think that there's a Rudy, and people are saying the Rudy Gay comparison to the Otto Porter Jr. comparison. It's completely different. I think we caught Otto at like the perfect year. He was already a really good 3-point shooter coming into the season, and he kind of changed his game up a little bit from like a wing who's kind of moving all over the floor to kind of like a big for the Warriors. He didn't move that much, kind of a good rebounder, and he was a little slower out there. Sure, that kind of fits a Rudy Gay profile, but he's just never been that type of 3-point shooter in the past, I don't know, decades since he's been in the league. Or
he's never been. Rudy Gay has never been a knockdown, lights out 3-point shooter, mostly because he's never really shot it at a high volume. Like his best years shooting the three were 2011, but he only shot 2.7 a game at 40%. And in 2018, 2019, he shot 40% as well, but that's off of 2.7 attempts. So his highest volume in his entire career would have been his second year in the league. And then after that would have been 3 years ago in San Antonio. He actually took almost 4.5 at 38% clip. So that if you're looking at what could he provide and you're hoping that he could turn back the clock 3 years, that is probably best case scenario. And what he did last year is probably worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But okay, to back to your point. So who would take those Kuminga minutes is it would be a mix of Saric, Moody, and GP. Those are the guys who you would sort of, depending on which version of Kuminga. If you had to play small ball 5 Kuminga, then you'd probably put Saric in there. If you had to play wing Kuminga, then you put Moody in there. If you needed alley-oop player who just cuts backdoor, then that's Peyton. That's who you would do. And I already, just by looking at the roster, I do wonder if Saric pushes Kuminga down the lineup even further, and maybe even behind Moses Moody, just because of the size.
Yeah, I mean, well, Saric on offense, like I know we've looked at it and we kind of pencil him in as someone who we think is like kind of like a sharpshooter, but he only really does shoot like 2.8 threes per game or something like that. But if he can up that volume and keep the percentage, like he could technically be a 4 on offense, and Kuminga can kind of be the 5 on offense, so they could play together. And we're again, keep saying the word penciling in a lot, but I mean, Kuminga shot 37% from 3 last year, and teams aren't going to give it to him. Teams are going to just give it to him until he proves that, and I hope he does. But
Sarge had an interesting year last year. He shot 39% from 3 at 2 a game, and didn't really do a whole lot else offensively. It was like he had, he took 5 shots a game. 2 of them were 3, or 3 of them were threes. So, 2 of them were 3. So 40% of his shots were threes, and then 60% of his shot were 2s. He shot the twos at 50%, shot the threes at 39%. But he did not rebound really as much as you would think. And also, he didn't play as much as you would think. He only played around 14 minutes a game last year. And I wonder if that's what they are looking for, or if they're actually looking for a little bit of a bump. Because the last time he played over 20 minutes a game would have been 1920. He played 24.7 minutes a game for Phoenix. And that was not his best year, but it was a pretty decent year, especially with the rebounding. So I that's another one, we talk about what could you expect out of Rudy Gay. Saric fits.
Isn't Sarge like 28 though?
Yeah, but he also hasn't. If you look at numbers and you go, why are all these numbers going down every year? That's the same thing with Saric.
I don't know. I think I can't really explain like the numbers going down.
He also shoots good from free throw, so that's
Mhm.
going to help. He shoots 83% or so.
Yeah, I just think his game doesn't. Rudy Gay, at his prime was like the athletic shot creator who very active with the ball in his hands, and Saric is kind of like a slower stretch four almost. Like I can't imagine that. He's getting like worse, I guess, because I feel like those
could he be the Bielitsa?
Those players that kind of rely on I don't know, skill, the better word for it, but skill rather than just having super athleticism over some people. I feel like those guys usually are able to keep it up, and I don't know. I'm high on the Sarge signing. And
what about the pivot away from Dwight Howard? Because it was rumored.
I was for it. Yeah, I was for the pivot away.
You were for it. Obi wanted our good friend Obina, who was like on the first episode ever of this podcast, and we haven't brought him back yet. We're gonna have to bring him back. He was he wanted Dwight Howard. He's like, man, Dwight Howard's they need a center and this and that. And I'm like, man, Dwight Howard didn't even make a team last year. He had to go play somewhere else. And I don't know if you can have you just traded JP, and then I don't know if you want to bring a questionable seriousness of a player in, but I don't know. He did win a title with LeBron, so maybe that changed him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that one's a tough one, because I feel like the Warriors have always prided themselves on maybe not prided themselves, but have always had like a standard of players that they sign. And by standard, I mean like the personalities they bring into the locker room. And, you could point to a Swaggy P back in the day, a JaVale McGee back in the day, DeMarcus Cousins, they kind of fit the maybe more Dwight Howard personality than but I think that Dwight, like you said, he did not make a team last year. I don't know how hard he tried to make a team. I don't know if he just wanted to go overseas or something. But I feel like this guy, I think he's kind of funny. But I feel like there's a part of him, and for some competitors, I'm sure like you have to hold on to that. But there's some part of him that I feel like he still thinks he's like 2012 Dwight. He made like a comment, and I didn't take it seriously. I think he was just kidding, but he was saying that Team USA should hold a spot for him, or else he's going to go play for Taiwan. And it's just, that stuff's funny, but then you're talking about, over emotional Draymond. How does he take some of these comments? And, like, I think there is stuff at play here. And if you're signing Dwight Howard to be your 14th man, like he's not going to, there's the financial, commitment, the roster commitment, like you don't play him that much in that spot. So if you're not going to play him that much already, why even attempt to mix up the locker room like that if he's not even going to be like the backup? He's barely going to play.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
And he is used to being a superstar and someone whose value he believes to the team is in rebounding and dunks and alley-oops and stuff. And I don't know, maybe his athleticism is still there. I have not seen this dude play in so long. All right, let's talk about a couple other things. We'll just go over the Dame trade right at the end of this. But Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner. You see, Evan Turner retweeted me the other day.
You did?
Well, because I called him out.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I said that one of my favorite podcasting moments is whenever Andre makes Evan Turner laugh, because Evan's got that high pitched cackle, and so he retweeted that. But Andre Iguodala on this podcast, they asked him, JJ Redick asked him about Jordan Poole, and Andre made the most interesting comment that I mean, maybe it did get aggregated, and maybe there's tons of social about it. I haven't seen a ton of it, but he said he had a conversation with Jordan telling Jordan that it is harder to not try or fake try than it is to try on the basketball court. What did you think of that comment?
I mean, that one, it'll just make me mad because I like went at this guy like all season for how poorly he was playing at defense. I thought he was one of the worst defenders in the entire league. And to hear that, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. It's just like I wasn't. He faked it. He fooled me. But I don't know. That's still some of like the worst clips I'll ever watch in my life. It's just him falling down on offense every single play. It's a 4-on-5 going back the other way. Or if you throw on the Brooklyn Nets, I think Kyrie was still on Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets versus the Golden State Warriors. I want to say it was around halfway through this past season. Kyrie just anytime Jordan Poole's on Kyrie, it's just the most embarrassing thing I've ever had to watch in my life because Kyrie just kills him. It was at Chase. It was this past season, but yeah, I mean that it kind of would make a little bit of sense, but I don't know. What do you think?
So the way that I took it was Jordan knows that he's not a good defender. So instead of try and stay in front of a guy and not be able to stay in front of a guy and maybe even get your ankles broken, instead he would pretend, I guess is a good way to put it, that maybe he got pushed and he would try and draw a crappy foul rather than stay with the play.
He still sucks at defense.
And we saw that. And I think it's because, we live in this generation where if someone breaks your ankles, then you're on Twitter all day long. And if you're not secure in your ability, then maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's even more of a problem than getting chewed out by your coach. And Steve Kerr pretty much no commented when Tim Kawakami asked him about Andre's comment, but he did it in such a Steve Kerr way in that he said, Tim, I do your podcast every season before the season starts, and I do Zach Lowe's podcast after we win a title, and I don't do any more podcasts. I used to do a lot of podcasts. I used to want to help people out. I'm pretty sure he would do Bob Myers' podcast, by the way. And he says, but, the reason why I'm not on everybody's podcast is because they take your comment and they put it in a clip and they they shorten it or they do whatever they want to do to make it sound, negative. And that's why he did not want to comment on it. He's like,
guess what? That didn't get aggregated.
Yeah, it didn't get aggregated. And he said that, he wants to talk about the now and he doesn't want to talk about what happened last year. So based off of what Kerr said, he also didn't deny what Andre said. And of course he's not going to deny what Andre said. Andre is, pretty Andre is not a straightforward speaker, but he is sort of like a guy with wisdom, and he just says things in a way where maybe he's not going to linearly put it to you the way that you want to hear it, but Kerr's not going to say that Andre was lying. So, because Andre was the vet, right? Andre was the vet on that squad. So, of course, Andre, what Andre's saying has some credence there. But yeah, I thought that was such an interesting comment. And Andre and Evan, they got the season 3 of their show. And I guess it is on Vox Media, so SB Nation. I didn't even know SB Nation had a podcast network, so that was news to me. But they're back, and I actually like them much better as guests than I do as hosts of their own show. But they have a unique style of podcasting, so it's still entertaining. But yeah, I really love them as a guest on JJ's show.
I still need to listen to it. I've only seen the clips that got aggregated, so I did see that one.
Yeah, it's good. You'll like it. All right, let's end on this, which is the Damian Lillard trade. And Lillard goes to Milwaukee in a 3-teamer. At first, I thought I had heard it was like a 4-teamer. What happened to the 4-teamer? Wasn't it? Didn't it originally get reported as a 4-teamer?
I feel like you're right. Like the original Woj. Well, didn't Shams misreport it? Like right in the beginning.
Is that what he did?
Shams said he was going to Toronto, and then he had to delete it really quick. It was like the arson judge. Yeah.
Oh,
it was very arson judge like.
Shams, Shams is lucky I didn't see it. I would have taken him off of my notifications and put Woj back on. Okay, so here is the full trade. So the Bucks get Damian Lillard. And the Blazers get Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, and the 2019 unprotected Bucks pick.
Wow.
And Bucks pick swaps. I thought I had heard there were 2 pick swaps, but maybe there's only one.
What year is the unprotected?
2029.
Okay.
And then the Suns get Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. So they basically get bench depth, and they have to swap out Ayton for Nurkic. And yeah, so so obviously the Dame Lillard piece is the big the big blockbuster piece of this is Dame Lillard, because now you pair him with Giannis. You still got Chris Middleton is still on that team, right? So that's kind of your big 3. Brook Lopez. So Dame, they're going to be able to spread the floor and do a lot of Giannis kind of doing stuff and then kicking out, and Dame's gonna get a lot of 3-pointers. I think Dame took like 11 3-pointers a game last year. It's either going to be that again or more. Like he's just going to be shooting. Now, the thing, because the Suns are going to be one of the top teams in the West, and the Warriors play them on opening night, I actually thought they kind of lost this trade, because now I am assuming they believe it is addition by subtraction with Ayton. We know that there were problems there with Ayton. But if I am Kevin Durant and I look at the way that teams are going to come at the Suns, if I'm the Warriors, I go, okay, we're going to attack Nurkic and get him off of the floor by going small. And that puts KD into a 4-5 scenario. And that's bad for KD. That's the part of this trade that I don't understand, is that the Warriors have shown time and time again that they're just going to play Nurkic off the floor. I mean, they just did that in Portland all the time. And so now you have a center who's not going to play well against the Warriors. And this is not only the Warriors. Maybe Nurkic defends Anthony Davis better.
Maybe
than
it's
Ayton.
Joker. Right? Maybe it's Jokic. I don't know.
Nurkic plays Jokic well. Maybe he does. We'll have to look at those numbers.
Well, yeah, we'll have to look at
But I just saw it as like, man, if I'm KD, I would have wanted Ayton, because Ayton is more athletic, and you would hope that he could stay on the floor even when teams play a little smaller, just because he's more athletic. And I look at Nurkic and I'm like, like defensively, what are we going to do there? And that would force KD to play big a little bit more. Now, maybe it's Bol, probably not. I can't imagine. Who else who's the other center that they have?
Eubanks.
There's another guy who cannot score.
Chimezie Metu.
There's a few that, like, if you look at Phoenix's bench prior to this trade, it was like a bunch of players who flamed out in other places. But they do pick up bench depth. Grayson Allen is a really solid pickup for them to play, to actually get some minutes, because he can actually play some basketball. So I just thought it was a little weird. If I'm KD, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to play a lot more 4 and then maybe even play some 5. Like, that's not going to be fun. It's not going to be great for my legs. It's not going to be great for, later in the season, because this dude's been getting hurt a lot. So that's interesting to me. But yeah, what did you think of this trade overall?
I guess from the Suns' perspective, I think it made sense to me. But what doesn't make sense is that they liked Nurkic because he plays good defense. Like, that's what they liked from him. And I just like, I think you just spewed off why that's like, he's just not a good defender to begin with. So I don't even know.
I don't even know if he's a good defender. It's just, a lot of times when the NBA sort of goes trendy, and what was the trend? The Warriors went small ball, right? But their small ball was still like Harrison Barnes, KD. So, those guys are still tall guys.
Mm-hmm.
But now you flip it to the other side and you go, okay, Embiid and Jokic are, maybe the 2 best players, Anthony Davis. And now there's this emphasis on centers. And I'm just like, how many centers matter in the league? 5?
Yeah.
Like, there's like, if there was 10 or 15, then you go, okay, now we need to match up. But there's like 5, like we saw what Jokic did to Anthony Davis, right? Like, even Anthony Davis, as good defensively as he was, he could not handle that dude. So you're telling me that now we emphasis on guys who can guard him. No, nobody's going to be able to guard him. It's like saying, we want to grab the best small forward who defends, in 2010 because we need to stop LeBron. No, you're not going to stop him. Like, you need to figure it out in other positions. You need to be better than you need to be better than Denver in every other position except for center, because you're just not able to do that.
I mean, that was just my only rationale. Like, the only thing I could potentially see them thinking is that, oh, Nurk is defends Jokic semi well. I don't know. I disagree. I would have rather kept Ayton, but I guess I see the vision on, like, my main pushback on the Suns doing anything this year was because I thought their bench was lacking a lot. And I like Nazir Little as a player personally, but I mean, he hasn't ever been to the playoffs. You can't say for sure he's going to be a good playoff rotation player. He's never been there. I think Grayson Allen's a solid pickup, but yeah, I feel like the Suns just, I think they understood that their weakness is their bench. Because like you said, it's that typical like 2017 Cavs, 2020 Lakers, where you just get all these guys that kind of flamed out because you have all your money's going to like 3 guys. And so you're just trying to get all these minimums of guys trying to prove themselves. And, that just usually doesn't really work out that well. So I guess I like the idea of trying to get more bench players. I don't know if I liked the players they got, but Portland, yeah, I mean, it seems like Portland got the best deal. Like, it sounded like Miami was just playing hardball and like, you're not going to get a better deal from anyone else. And they went and got one. So we'll see what they end up doing with Drew Holiday. I'm assuming he's not on the roster to start the season. I'm assuming they'll get more assets. Maybe they're going to start loading up kind of like how the Jazz and the Thunder are, where it's just give me more picks. So we could build around these players. From Milwaukee side, I think that it's a win for them. They don't even have to win a championship, in my opinion. I think Giannis just has to sign on the paper of an extension or re-signing, and I think that's a win for the Bucks. I'm really excited to see this stuff. It's because I feel like Damian Lillard's awesome, but I feel like he's kind of had this mentality lately of kind of like, look, I've that mentality of like the Blazers aren't doing anything for me. They've been not giving me these players to play with that are good. Like, it's not my fault. And it's like, okay, well, here are the best teammates you'll ever have and that most stars have never had. Here's Giannis, one of the second best player in the league. Like, no one really ever gets to play with a guy like that. Here's Brook Lopez, a guy who was just in the defensive player of the year, top 3 defensive player of the year campaign. Here's Chris Middleton, a guy who was proven to be a number 2 on a championship team. Like, sure, he hasn't been as good lately, but I wonder if it kind of hurts some legacy type of arguments for Dame if he just like S's the bed. If he's just like bad, it's because
if he gets hurt,
that would suck.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But no, I'm hoping it works out. Like, I'm hoping, championship as long as the Warriors aren't in the finals for them. But yeah, I just think it'd be funny if like it'd be kind of funny if they were bad and he's like, they never give me good players to play with and they still suck.
All right. So I just wanted to make one mention. Our website, bspnmedia.com. You can find all of our podcasts and our videos on the website if you are not on the YouTube channel and are not subscribed to our podcast feed. But also, I'm going to be doing a little bit more writing there. So there will be articles up. First article that I just put up this morning was, who does Brock Purdy resemble the most out of quarterbacks? Because, hardcore 49er fans who love Brock, they're like, oh, second coming of Joe Montana. I do not see that. My comparison is Jeff Garcia, maybe a little bit of less reckless of a Jeff Garcia. But I actually made a fictional quarterback comparison to Brock Purdy. So you can check that out on bspnmedia.com. And for our next show, I'm hoping that we get back to the weekly cadence, but we'll see if there's any news. But the next time that we record, I will have a piece updated that I'd written probably like 6 or 7 years ago about the greatest Warriors roster of all time. Historically, if we're putting together the all-time Warriors roster, I think I did it to where, I had a limit so that Wilt Chamberlain couldn't be on this team. I put like a minimum number of years because he just didn't play for the Warriors for a very long time. But I may adjust that. We'll see, because I'm gonna have to fit KD on this team.
Yeah, does Mullins start?
No, Chris Mullin does not start on this team.
Rick Barry does?
I don't even know if Rick Barry starts on this team.
I would just do 2017 and Wilt Chamberlain, even though you can't have Wilt.
You're gonna put Rick Barry starting ahead of Kevin Durant?
Hell no. No, that's why I think it's, your all-time team is just going to be 2017.
So
find your center.
The thing about that list is I actually reached out to Jim Barnett on Twitter, and I was telling him about this project, and so he gave me some ideas. But I think even then, like that team that I put together years ago, I think we're going to have to remove a lot of players. So I will update that list, and I will put it on bspnmedia.com, and then you and I will talk about that team.
Yeah, I guess really quickly, I don't know as much of the Warriors' history outside of like the players and the one championship with Rick Barry, the TMC run, all that stuff. But in a roster of 15, I guess maybe not ranking the 1 to 15 best players in Warriors history, but I feel like Loon's got to be on that team. Maybe not 1 through 15, but just a guy who's gonna win, man. He's just gonna be there and fight.
Yes, Loon is an interesting person for a team like that. Hey, I put Loon on Team USA, man. You know,
I know you did.
I like Loon. All right, well, so we'll be back. We will try and be back next week if there's stuff going on. But if not, we'll kind of go our every 2-week cadence until
it's probably media day next.
That's Monday, right?
Yeah. So that's actually something.
Yeah. So that will be that we should have something to talk about. Yeah. I think I'm going to Monday Night Raw in San Jose, and Ben Cruz was talking about Looney because Looney was at Monday Night Raw the last time they were in San Jose. And he's like, I don't know if he's going to be there. It's going to be media day. He's like, oh, maybe he just comes after media day.
Remember what Kittle did? Remember what Kittle did when we went to TLC in San Jose?
Yeah. He
literally in the press conference, he's like, I need to go to watch this.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back. Season is right around the corner. Exciting times. Media day coming up. So we will see you when we see you. Peace out.